Really dislike Jake Paul. Now, I don't dislike him, I understand him. I want to make something clear. I would still kick the living.
Andrew Tate just humiliated Jake Paul on live TV in a way that couldn't have been more brutal. Honestly, what else do we expect from Jake? The guy has a knack for sinking below even the lowest expectations. First, he backed out of Andrew Tate's $3 million fight proposal, a move that screamed cowardice. Then, as if that wasn't enough, he dragged Mike Tyson into a staged fight so painfully transparent it was almost cringeworthy. Jake knew Tyson wasn't in his prime, yet he had no problem exploiting the boxing legend for clout and a payday. Classic Jake Paul. More hype than heart.
Because he's allowed himself to become the biggest clown on the internet, and now he's famous, right? Because he's an idiot. But he has a bunch of money, so he gets...
Now Jake is trying to play his next card, provoking Andrew Tate into a fight he knows he'll never actually take. Why? Because Jake is fully aware he'd lose. Instead, he's banking on Tate rejecting the offer so he can twist the narrative and stroke his own ego. But Andrew Tate isn't taking the bait. Instead, he flipped the script, publicly tearing Jake apart and exposing every ounce of his fraudulence on live television. It was a masterclass in calling out a pretender.
You only want to lose to them so you can say, well, I lost to Conor McGregor. Why don't you lose to an old man who's retired? I live in the real f***ing world, Jake. There's a whole bunch of fighters out here who live in the real f***ing world. Men who are dangerous.
Andrew Tate turned the tables completely. Instead of rejecting the fight, he called Jake's bluff and accepted the challenge head on, and Jake's response? He disappeared. Completely ghosted.
I would whoop his ass. But he wouldn't take a fight against me, because when he loses, I'm not nearly on his level of fame, right? So like he lost to who? Whereas if he loses to Conor McGregor, it's no big deal. Well, he lost to Conor McGregor, who cares, right? That's what it's about.
Jake's entire strategy hinged on Andrew Tate refusing the fight so he could spin a narrative about being the fearless warrior no one dares to face. But with Tate accepting the challenge, Jake is in full-blown panic mode. He never saw this coming, and now he's backed into a corner with nowhere to hide. Finally, the so-called fearless Jake Paul has gone silent, once again proving he's all talk and no action.
I'm not some washed-up UFC fighter. I'm not smaller than him. I would beat the living shit out of him, and if he wants to fight, I'll fight him any day of the week, and I'll fucking wreck him.
Andrew Tate didn't just challenge Jake Paul to a fight, he handed him a reality check so savage it might as well have come with a warning label. He called Jake's career a joke and accused him of turning boxing into a TikTok-friendly sideshow. Hard to argue with that when Jake's idea of competition includes a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. And speaking of Tyson, let's address Jake dragging this legendary icon into his circus. Mike Tyson, the man, the myth, the heavyweight legend, was reduced to a content gimmick because Jake wanted to play tough. Andrew Tate summed it up perfectly. It wasn't boxing, it was elder abuse. Jake didn't see Tyson as the revered figure who helped shape the sport. No, he saw an easy shortcut, a way to grab headlines without putting anything real on the line. And the worst part, he genuinely thought no one would notice. And,
however, I do understand what he's doing. I understand that he is very, very smart, even with his marketing angle. I'm just a YouTuber. You're not just a YouTuber. You're a full-grown man with the best coaches in the world who's dedicated his life to learning how to box for years. You know how to box. You're not a complete amateur. You know how to box very well. 3, 4, 5 years of training combat sports. You can box. The guy's not a jack.
Jake's so-called greatest masterpiece? His laughable fight history. It's like expecting a fireworks show but getting a pack of cheap sparklers instead. He's fought retired MMA fighters who weren't even strikers, Ben Askren, a wrestler with the speed of a tortoise, Tyron Woodley, a faded version of his prime self, and Nate Robinson, a basketball player who looked like he'd never thrown a punch in his life. Jake's entire career is a carefully curated highlight reel of low-risk, high-reward stunts, all designed to trick casual fans into believing he's the next big thing. But Andrew Tate rips that illusion apart like it was nothing. A year later, Serenity tested positive for the random sedative vaporization. Jake, he said, if you spent half as much effort training as you do cherry-picking opponents, maybe you'd actually earn some respect.
He is not just a YouTuber. He is a young man training with Canelo and Ryan Garcia.
When I made the video, I really disliked Jake Paul. Now, I don't dislike him.
And then there was the $3 million challenge. No gimmicks, no stage spectacle. This was a genuine offer. Winner takes all, no excuses. Andrew Tate didn't care about the money. His goal was simple, to expose Jake Paul for what he truly is. And how did Jake respond? He ran. Not walked, not jogged, ran. Here's the thing. Jake Paul thrives in controlled environments. His fights are meticulously choreographed to protect his ego and maintain his carefully crafted narrative. He's the master of playing it safe while pretending he's risking it all. Now, but a fight with Andrew Tate, that's not part of the script. It's a gamble Jake can't afford to take because it threatens to destroy the entire illusion his brand depends on.
$3 million. You put three, I put three. Winner takes all. You know my name, Andrew Tate. I will fight you any day, anytime. Let's fucking go. If I were to fight Jake Paul, I would take it completely seriously in a real fight, and I'd whoop his ass. I'd beat him. Jake. Everyone thinks he's
Jake Paul's rejection of Andrew Tate's $3 million challenge wasn't just a strategic dodge. It was an unspoken confession of fear. The man who thrives on bravado and calls himself a fearless disruptor fell silent when faced with a genuine threat. Tate's public takedown wasn't just a roast, it was a systematic humiliation that exposed Jake's entire career as a cherry-picked highlight reel of cherry-picked opponents and low-risk fights designed to protect his ego. While Jake's fans might still cling to his facade, the rest of the world saw through it. Tate didn't even need to step into the ring to win. His challenge alone was enough to unravel Jake's shaky reputation, proving that while Jake plays the part of a boxer, it's Tate who embodies the real spirit of the sport: authenticity, skill, and fearlessness. Starting now.
Two brothers, one cage. Jake Logan, you Tristan. Who comes out alive?
You know what? I'm trying so hard to not start internet beefs. I'm really trying not to. But
You could say Jake and Logan, man.
bro,
Don't worry about it.
No, I can't lie. I'm going through life. I'm trying to live peaceful now. I've got Fed agents in my house, Matrix.
For Jake, this was a PR disaster. His entire brand hinges on being fearless and ready to take on anyone, but rejecting Tate's challenge shattered that image. It's not just about dodging one fight. It's about what that decision symbolizes. A fight with Tate wasn't merely a risk. It was a threat to the narrative Jake has meticulously built over the years. And let's not forget his loss to Tommy Fury, which already exposed cracks in his armor. Facing Tate could have been the fatal blow to his reputation, and Jake knew it. Andrew Tate's mic drop moment, fighting Jake with cutting precision, was the perfect finishing touch. Jake, you don't need boxing gloves. You need to stick to YouTube, where losing doesn't hurt as much. Brutal, accurate, and devastatingly effective. Jake's rejection of the fight wasn't just avoiding a match. It was an unspoken admission. Deep down, he knows he's out of his league. Tate didn't have anything to prove. His legacy is already solid. But Jake? He needed this fight to sustain the illusion of his dominance, and now that illusion is in tatters. The fallout from this debacle could be career-defining. Jake's road to redemption isn't just uphill, it's a sheer vertical climb. Simply hyping his next fight won't cut it anymore. He'll have to convince a doubting audience that he's more than just a YouTuber with boxing gloves. And let's be honest, that's a tall order. When even his most loyal fans are questioning his credibility,